The meeting is now called to order. This is a regular board business meeting, Wednesday, April 15th, 2020, 9:30 in the boardroom at Fort Clark Springs. We have a quorum with 4 directors present in the boardroom. The boardroom is empty of visitors because of the restriction to groups dictated by the governor and Judge Tully of Kinney County. Before we begin, we will have a moment of silence and reflection. Board members, please stand. Thank you. Yeah, the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, indivisible. I can't remember the rest. School's been out for so long. It'll be okay.
Forgive us.
I can't remember the rest because school's out so long. My apologies to the state of Texas.
And those at home, please finish it if you would like to. Before we get started, I wanted to welcome everybody to the new normal. We closed the boardroom to the meeting this morning to visitors to meet group size and social distancing guidelines. We hope that all of you who are interested are able to follow us on Facebook and later on YouTube. Please direct any questions that you have to FCSA@fortclark.com. That's FCSA@fortclark.com. And we will review them and answer them in dispatch so that everyone can read the response. We hope to have better online access for the next month's board meeting if restrictions are still in place. There has been some question before we start this meeting of whether we can telephonically or by internet conduct this meeting, and yes, we can. We are not subject to corporate Open Meetings Act 551. We are subject to the Open Meetings Act contained in Chapter 209 of the Property Owners Code, State of Texas. And I have brought along our Cagle book, which is the expert attorney that writes and interprets the law. In general, the Texas Nonprofit Corporation Law authorizes directors of a nonprofit corporation, HOA, to hold meetings by using a conference telephone or similar communications equipment, or other suitable electronic communication system, including video conferencing technology or the internet, or any combination thereof, so long as the telephone or other equipment or system permits each person participating in the meeting, which are the directors, to communicate with all other persons participating in the meeting. In addition, if voting is to take place at a board meeting where one or more directors is attending by telephone or other equipment or system, then the Texas Nonprofit Corporation Law requires the nonprofit to implement reasonable measures to verify that every person voting at the meeting by means of remote communications is sufficiently identified and to keep a record of any vote or other action taken. We are all here. We are not remote, so that second part of that does not apply. We have the section in law, which is C-1, except for a meeting held by electronic or telephonic means under subsection H, a board meeting must be held in the county in which all or part of the property in the subdivision is located or in a county adjacent to that county. We are in the county, we are in place, physically in place in Kinney County. So I hope that allays any fears that our members have that we are conducting unofficial or illegal meeting. We are permitted to do so telephonically. We are streaming through Facebook, correct? Live streaming through Facebook. Anybody can access Facebook. And we will be posting it on YouTube also. So anyway, we're going to continue with the meeting. Okay. We have the approval of the minutes from the general board meeting on March 18, 2020. Mr. Secretary? Robert?
Yes, they've been reviewed, and I move that we accept the minutes as stated, or as written.
I second the motion.
Okay, any corrections that anybody found or needed? Good job, guys. Okay, all in favor? Okay, let's go on next to the treasurer's report. Okay. Well, I volunteered, so here goes. First of all, on a table in the outside courtyard, you will find a stack of P&Ls for you, anybody that can just come in and pick up. It's outside the boardroom in the courtyard patio. And also the audit is out there, which I'll get into later. In summary, for the month of March, we had a net income of minus $75,936.01. Crediting back depreciation of $14,132.15 and bad debt expense of $22,584, we have a net cash income of minus $39,219.86. For the October 2019 to March 2020, which is 2 quarters, we had a negative net income of $151,766.10, with adding back in the non-cash depreciation of $82,831.48 and non-cash bad debt expense of $137,442. We had a net cash income of $68,507.38. I do want to point out, as part of the report, that because of the coronavirus, we are outside income, such as motel, RV, and our rentable venues, is down considerably. We didn't have a bad March as far as the motel is concerned, but right now I don't think we have anybody in the motel. And that will probably continue until people start traveling again. Although there is a possibility that we may have some people next week, according to our golf superintendent. Our rental venues that were rented out have been canceled, pursuant to the order to stay home and not to congregate in groups more than 10. The RV park has RVs over there that are still paying rent, and they will continue to take people. The RV park and the motel will remain open, at least for now. We are encouraging people to take a second look, and if you're behind on your assessments, please pay them, because right now that's the main source of income. And one thing that coronavirus has taught us in the last couple months is that, as many directors have stated in the past, assessments are there to cover the daily operations of the association. And the additional money that we get from the motel, the RV park, and the venues is bonus money that we can use to upgrade those facilities. So it's very important, more important now than ever, that every property owner, every family recreation membership, every charter member, please catch up on your assessments. If you are falling behind, please contact Gabby in our office and work out a payment plan. We're willing to work with people. We know how difficult it is now, especially for people who have lost their jobs. We are going to increase our collections efforts. We want to remain as solvent as possible during this time, and we want to try to avoid laying off our employees if we can, because they also pay assessments. No job, No assessments. Okay. We have one new family recreation membership account. We've transferred 3 properties. We had 2 charter membership non-performance lot givebacks, which mean they simply cede them back to the association. We reinstated 1 person, and we had 2 write-offs for family recreation memberships. You don't pay your family recreation membership, you're canceled. Okay. We have 16 people on payment plans. 3 members are caught up and removed. We removed no one for non-payment, and we have added no members to that. The motel revenue for March, and this was last month, it won't probably be this like for April. We had 50 members, 216 member guests, 83 non-members, and total of 349, with total revenue of $21,428. And I missed just a second here, I've got one more thing here, if I can find it. Excuse me. Okay, as of yesterday, April 14th, 2020, Texas Community Bank checking account, $33,252.26. Credit card account, $21,705.16. The money market account remains at $8,593.31. For bank and trust, the Los Morris account, $85.57. We don't have much money coming into Los Morris, especially since Dickman Hall is closed. The restricted fund, $341,207.78. The general fund, $24,013.78, and it's down because it's a payroll week. Historical has, in the Historical Society's account, has $18,225.53, but it has a total of about $44,000 because part of that is in the restricted fund. The tax account contains $33,950.88. And that concludes the treasurer's report and comments. Can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any comments?
In the future, can we, on the like in the restricted fund, can we have what's on hold for letters of credits and what's in historical, so we actually get a true figure what is actually available?
We can.
Okay.
We can. Julie, can you make that note?
To get a true figure.
Yeah, to break down the restricted fund. Right, and it'd be broken down to our letters of credit for TCEQ and mud tax,
Oh yeah,
preservation.
and insurance.
Okay. I don't know what kind of insurance you have.
It's kind of like an escrow. We move over the property tax each month, and we also
Oh,
move over.
that's just all put together under taxes there. That's, we have a tax account. That's for the 33,000 I just gave you.
It's not even going into restricted.
No, what goes into restricted is lead tax.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, everybody approve? Okay. Okay, try to keep this brief. We received the audit yesterday from our auditor, yesterday afternoon in the mail. And actually, the directors just received their copies this morning. and they have not had a chance to review it. However, as promised, the audit will be made available to our members. That's part of their assessments at no charge. Out on the table out there, we will have copies of the audit. Also, the profit and loss statements are out there. If you have any questions, please direct them to the FCSA at 4o'clock.com email page, and we can review those. And if we can't answer them for you, then we will find out from the auditor, and we will put it on dispatch so everybody here's the response. For those who are not here on site, you can email, snail mail, or make a phone call and request a copy to be sent to you. We just make sure we have to have your full name and your unit number, and we will check it against the property owner membership list, because only property owners may obtain the audit report. The administration lobby will remain closed indefinitely pursuant to restrictions levied by our government officials, Governor Abbott and Judge Tully. You can still conduct all your business by phone, email, or drop it through the front door. That front door has enough room to drop lots of stuff through it. The motel and the RV park will remain open to customers, visitors. We still have several actually RVs on site. Okay. Email votes. By necessity, we had to take several email votes because they were time critical. The first one, the board voted unanimously to allow Allison Watkinson to place a Wi-Fi router in the teen center. This will allow students of FCSA members who do not have Wi-Fi or an internet connection to log into the router to do school-related work outside on the picnic tables, not inside. We agreed that this would be beneficial to our members as long as social distancing was followed and sanitizing done on the picnic tables. And our security chief said that the sanitizing will not be an issue. There would have to be an adult present to enforce the guidelines. We did not wait for this meeting because it would have been another 7 or 8 days before kids could have gotten to their schoolwork, so we felt that was a critical issue. Number 2, before Easter, we voted unanimously to close the pool and swim park for the Easter weekend. This is the same type of restriction that most everybody in Texas did with their parks, so we were in compliance. It was closed on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and reopened on Monday to members only with social distancing practiced. And if our members would like to keep the pool open, please follow these guidelines, because if we don't, then we'll have to close the pool. Number 3, we voted unanimously to suspend further motel renovation until our revenue increases, both at the motel and elsewhere. 12 rooms, I believe, were completed and will be available to guests on a first-come, first-served basis. The remaining rooms are still available, they're just not quite as nice. The contractor agreed to this. We need to make the decision right away, though, so he knew that he would be finishing up the last room and would not be able to start another one. And the last one, at least that I could remember, I had in my notes. Number 4 was Director Smith, Dustin, worked with J.J. Ducharme, Lindsay Creek Outfitters for the 2020 Axis Deer Trapping Removal Contract. We agreed to the contract, and we're going to have Dustin give some additional information as part of this report. Dustin?
So, many of the members are familiar with Mr. Ducharme, a local landowner here. He traps axis for resale. Handily enough, we have many orders of magnitude more than we need here on the fort. So he's going to help us out by trapping them off live and reselling them. So he will be trapping them with the black tarp traps, which is historically how they've been trapped here on the fort. He will be paying the fort for every deer taken off. I don't know what I did with my contract. Pricing, I believe, for yearlings and fawns is $150. Does, I think, are $200. Spike bucks, $250. There we go, right there. Fawns are $50. Yearlings $100. Does $175 each. Spike bucks $200. 2-year-old bucks $250 each. 3-year-old bucks $400 each. And 4-year-old plus mature deer up to 32-inch tine length, $1,000. And very mature bucks over 32 inches in tine length will be sold to Mr. Ducharme for $1,500 apiece. We will have to get with the Zach Davis, the veterinarian, to get a prescription for the tranquilizing medication. If he does trap any of the great big deer, he'll need to tranquilize them before we can load them in the trailer so they don't hurt themselves or the other deer. He will reimburse us for that expense as part of the contract. So everything in this contract is net income to the fort with no expenditure.
Yep,
That's it.
thanks, Dustin. Okay, next,
Wait,
I'm sorry.
Do we need it?
We did.
No, I'm talking about for the chapter 13, the item 13, for like the board members, but now we're doing it as an agenda item because we came to
Oh, it was gonna be, it's an action item.
it's an action item, but we did try.
We attempted, yes, I will, when we get to that.
Oh, I thought we were going over email votes. Okay.
No, I put it in as a full agenda item and we can explain it at that time because we were unsuccessful.
Okay.
Okay, sorry guys. Okay, committee reports. We asked the committees to report by yesterday. Most of the committees have canceled their meetings, which is appropriate. But I do believe that we do have one from the architectural committee and
Recycling.
one from recycling.
Okay, the recycling committee says we have had architectural first. We have had 3 permits in the last month. There are a number of violation letters out. There will be no architectural meetings in the boardroom for April. We have been meeting by phone. On Tuesday, we will have a teleconference on Zoom. We will be meeting on an as-need basis. If you have a repair, same color, same material, just go ahead and do the repair. All construction, new construction or otherwise, will need a permit. Any questions, call the office and leave your phone number or email the committee at arc@fortclark.com. We're going to try to keep your projects moving forward. Joe Alackness, Chairman. And then from recycling, the results of shipping 40 cartons and 4 bales in February. We made $207, but we owe $314 due to the shipping fees. We'll continue to be closed until the end of the month when we will reevaluate the possibilities of COVID-19 transmission here at the fort. Please be patient. It says H, so I'm assuming that's Mrs. McBride. Okay, those are the only 2 that I have.
Okay, so we don't have any for airport. Golf, I'll just comment on the golf, that golf course is still open. They have cash built outside counter where you can check in. All of your reservations and all that can be done by phone. They are still working on the golf course to keep it in shape. Can't get behind on that. Otherwise it's too expensive to bring it back. But you can still golf. I don't believe they're allowing carts, so you have to walk, except for people who own their own carts. Okay. Nothing from Old Quarry. And Community Council canceled its meeting this month, so they do not have a report. Okay, on to old unfinished business. If you recall from the last meeting, we tabled due to COVID-19 until restrictions are lifted, Friends of the Festival, annual meeting, lunch discussion, and the Garden Club Memorial. The annual meeting is still postponed. because we, again, would, the only way we can probably have that is if restrictions are listed, or lifted, or we're able to come up with some type of internet access for everybody. And we're still working on that. Okay, new business, first action item. We'd like to introduce Rick Seddon. He was hired, well, we have to say tentatively right now, because he's from the great country north of us, Canada. And we're gonna have Justin, who is Border Patrol, our immigration expert over here, introduce Rick and let everybody know how we're approaching this work permit. Okay, Dustin and Rick.
All right. Well, first of all, I guess I'll let Mr. Sidden introduce himself and tell you a little about himself.
Guess I'll face the camera, because you're probably sick of looking at the back of my head. I'm Rick. I'm very excited to have been invited to be a part of this fantastic community. I've spent the last week and a half kind of milling around, so some people have probably seen me, but just checking things out and talking to members and talking to staff here on site at Fort Clark and kind of getting a lay of the land and you know, understanding what common concerns are and the opportunity I see for the fort, and with the support of the board and membership, I see some great revolutions coming in the future. Working on branding and developing and growing who we are as a community and inviting people into to share in sharing what we have. This is a pretty special place, and I think most members know that. But there's you know, there is a community out there that certainly would like to come and see us as well. So we kind of want to get the open for business sign on again, and my background is basically, it's very diverse. I grew up in the retail industry for a company called Canadian Tire in Canada, which some of you may have been to, but basically it's a Walmart, a Pep Boys, and Home Depot all kind of in one box. So that's Canada's way of doing business, and it is a bit unique, but we're different. So anyway, in doing, it's a large box retailer doing $8 billion a year, which was just pretty significant up there. So at one point I ran stores, and then I was hired corporately to work on land acquisition and new store development and building new markets in Canada and building new business models for Canadian Tire. After that, then I became a franchise owner and built 2 of my own markets, one up at Dawson Creek, BC, which is mile 0 of the Alaska Highway, and then the next one is Okotoks, Alberta, where I built a new market as well. And that's just on the south end of Calgary in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So anyway, that after doing that, after leaving there, and I went sailing for a couple of years and got into the water treatment industry, where I designed a water treatment plant that was remotely operated, ran in real time to ease the pain of our First Nations Indian community up in Canada. So it was just basically a small water project that had some challenges with government trying to get through all the processes, and unfortunately didn't meet my mark there. So that was unfortunate. I reinvented myself at that point, and I love the outdoors and I know business, and so I got into the RV world, campground world, and managed a couple of parks that were struggling over the past 3 years, one in Edson, Alberta, and then the other one up at Spruce Point Park in northern Alberta, Lesser Slave Lake. And after that, in the meantime, in the off seasons, I spent time down in Lake Charles, Louisiana, helping out a park there in the winter of last year. Branson, Missouri, helping out a young lad that just bought a new park that needed to understand how to run the business properly. So, and then this year I helped Ellen down in Junction, Texas. I spent the majority of my winter there helping her get back on her feet and getting her RV park back up to speed after the tragic accident a couple of years ago. And then the call came for me, and this is what I've been looking for. This is an ideal fit. I'm a big picture thinker. I think way out of the box. Sometimes the board's going to have to put some reins on me to to kind of keep me going too far off the grid. But I'm really looking forward to working with all the committees and being a part of the community and getting involved with the community and the members. There's lots of upside, a lot of opportunity, and I know all of you probably agree, but there's also some repairs to be done. And some loose ends that need to be tied up and some business that needs to be completed. So basically I'm an expense focused individual. I don't spend money foolishly. Everything's thought out before I do spend money, or I do request to spend money. So you can be assured that when I am asking for different projects to get done, the homework's done, the paperwork's done, and the business case is there. So I'm looking for your support, and I'm really looking forward to working with everybody. And as of right now, Dustin, all my paperwork's been filed for my visa, and I hired a firm in Canada that's handling all the immigration, because the next step after the visa is I want to become a Texan first and a U.S. citizen. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have a sister who lives in Houston, and one of my best friends lives in Katy, Texas. So I already have friends and family down here, and I've met a lot of new friends and some that I call family as well. So thank you very much. And if you see me driving around the golf cart or you want to talk, pull me aside. That's I'm very approachable. I'm really easy to get along with, and even if you just want to say hi, I'm look forward to seeing y'all. Thank you.
Okay, I would first like to point out that any commentary I made on this subject before today or right now is not affiliated with my employment with the federal government in any way. It's come in as a private citizen with a little bit of insight to provide the association on the matter so that we don't get ourselves in trouble. As a Canadian citizen, Mr. Siddon is not currently eligible to work legally in the United States. He is here on the visa waiver, as all non-criminal Canadian citizens are eligible to do. There is a status program called the TN status that is available to Canadian citizens through the NAFTA agreement, and it makes him eligible for employment down here in one of the categories of eligibility. Of course, he had to get with his immigration attorney and fill out some paperwork and get that done, and that process is ongoing. So, as has been said before, he's not currently employed by the association. He's not being paid by the association, and that will not happen until his legal status is received, which should not take long, we will hope. After he gets his TN status and works here for a while, gets through the probationary period, if he still desires, the association would petition for an H-1B visa, which is an employment visa that makes him eligible on his own to adjust status to permanent residency, and then he can, go towards his goal of naturalization to citizenship in the U.S. I highly recommend that if y'all see him around, go meet him, say hello. He's a very impressive fella. He's got an impressive employment history behind him. He's done a lot of things in his career that are very pertinent to the job that we are looking to hire him to do. And he's a very personable guy.
Okay, good deal. We all have our fingers crossed. It doesn't take very long because all four of us definitely want to back out of the day-to-day operations of the fort. We don't, and we aren't supervising any employees or doing anything like that. We're basically putting fires out right now because it's not our function to operate in the general manager, executive officer, or any other employee's position. Okay. All right, next, onward. The next is Rihanna's item here, and it is an action item. It's to consider approval of policy resolution 2020.01, formerly 95-4, which was never filed with Kinney County. Therefore, if it's not filed, it doesn't exist. It's a resolution governing performance lot options and development, time limits. Rihanna will explain the resolution and provide support for filing the resolution 25 years later and how it relates to current standards. So Rihanna, it's all yours.
This shouldn't take very long. 2011, the HOA's laws really changed, and anything that's pertinent to assessments, which when you have a lot option, you turn a non-performing lot into a performing lot. We actually don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to make this in compliance with the current law, which just means that we have to have it recorded in the official public records. Allison, I have to say thank you. She retyped it since it doesn't look like 1995 font. But basically, it just kind of gives a guideline, and it's even if we ever need to have future subdivisions, it just makes it legal. Because I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but sometimes if it's not broke, don't fix it. I just want to make sure that we're in compliance, and being in compliance is meaning that it needs to be recorded in the real estate public records.
Well, would you please explain what it does?
Well, this resolution is 95-4. It's whenever the membership said that we wants to do new units. I think our last unit was unit 38. At this time, we still have lots of residentials for sale in unit 27, but if there is ever a need that Kinney County grows and we need to expand units, this will kind of give us the policy to how to do it the proper way. With existing units, there are some units that you can take a charter membership or a non-performing lot that we no longer can sell, but we do honor them. And with that, it kind of gives you the procedures of how you're able to, the policy of how you're able to turn that membership into an actual performing lot where you can build a structure on there. It kind of gives you the guidelines what they consider a structure, because there's different units, like what they consider is an RV unit, what they consider completion of like a mobile home unit, and a site-built unit. It's just pretty good guidelines, and like I said, since it's not nothing new, we're just making it legal. I mean, through the new, since 2011. Back in the day, HOAs did not have to record every single resolutions, but since this does affect your assessments, because it is dealing with a lot, I believe that we need to be in compliance and it needs to be recorded.
Okay, what I was trying to get at, one of the requirements in this is that someone that, with the charter or a non-performance lot, which is the La Land lots out there that...
Non-performing. You
Yeah.
can't build on it.
You can't build.
There's no
they're
water or
also called-
sewer.
Yeah, they were determined to be colonial lots by the state of Texas, so we can't sell them. However, people bought them years ago. We have a procedure which is called lotting up. You can lot up by paying a transfer fee, correct?
Correct.
Correct. But a lot has to be available, and there are no guarantees. But this measure also gives the lot owner 6 months to start building on it if he lots up after all of the paperwork and stuff is complete. I did want to make note that we did intentionally remove that from the declaration, that part about having only 6 months, because we were concerned about lots being sold and people not waiting to retire for another couple of years. So that is a little current change from what we've been doing. I just want to put
Well,
that
there
out
has been prior boards, and the concern that everyone should worry about on that is, because technically and that's why this policy is kind of important, it gives you a guideline to do it the proper way, because hindsight, what you can do, if you have a charter membership or a non-performing lot, you say that you have a mother or father doesn't want this membership anymore, so they pass it down to their kid. They pay $150, and then they go and find, say we have some active lot option lots, so they pay the $150 to get the charter membership, then they pay another $150 and they get a performing lot, which the association sells for $3,500. So it's income being taken away from the association if you don't do this the correct way. Because then what people were able to do was pay $300 and then turn around and put a sign on the property and not perform on it, and the association just lost out $3,500, and then you had a private citizen that could put it up for whatever sale they want it for. So there was pretty strict guidelines on this, and basically how you would get the deed is you do have to follow the process, and you have to go through the architectural committee with your plans. So these people have always had access to the membership, which the benefits of everything that a membership comes with. It's just that they weren't ready to build their house on it yet. So this way, when they lot up, they have to do it in the correct procedure. If not, the association really does lose out on a lot of money, potentially.
Okay, do we have, from the board, do we have a motion to either approve filing this resolution or not approve filing the resolution?
I will move to file the resolution with the stipulation that the spelling error is fixed on section E, sentence 3 on the back page.
We can do that.
Home is spelled HOME.
Oh,
Second.
okay. Any more conversation?
No, I think that it's a resolution that should have been filed a long time ago.
Yeah, okay.
It was just overlooked, and unfortunately, sometimes things fall through the cracks, so.
Okay. Any further comment? Okay, only comment I have on this is, number one, we have to change the policy resolution to 01/2020 because it's not being filed in 1995.
Can I make a suggestion? We can do that, but I would like to say formerly known as 95-4. Since we're not really changing anything, it just kind of keeps a good
Yeah, that's fine.
record.
They just won't accept it with that resolution number on it. Okay.
I just want to make sure that it all refers back to the original.
And again, my only comment is that having a 6-month, I'm not saying it's unreasonable. All I'm saying is that when someone decides to lot up, they may not want to build for 2 years. And now they're probably not going to lot up and buy the lot if they're forced to start in 6 months. And then my also concern is that in 6 months, you could still sell the lot.
No, you have to have not to the procedures. You have to have your plans, and you already have to put in your water tap and sewer.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah, and just to allay any fears among the membership on that, there is a provision in here that the board of directors can grant extensions for this, so
Okay,
under special circumstances. That option exists.
okay. I just want to make sure that we're all out on the table and we're not hiding anything, so.
Well, we can leave it.
No, it's fine.
Members can pick this policy up anytime they want. I mean, it's going to be a public record too.
That's right. Okay, so it's, we ready, everybody?
Ready.
Okay,
Well, we have this first and a second.
okay, those in favor of filing resolution 2020.01, formerly known as 95-4 with Keeney County, please raise your hand. The motion passes unanimously. And we will have one of our staff do the filing as soon as the spelling corrections and signatures are done. And policy resolution is changed. Okay. Okay, the next, actually, when these were filed in April of 2019, they were filed and given the reverse order numbers because 04 references 05. It should have been done the other way around. So, but I think we'll take them in the order that's on here, unless someone has a problem with that? Okay.
No.
All right, the first one was Resolution 2019-04, establishing a communication policy for FCSA. It was filed on April 17, 2019, and signed by Maria Perkins, Dan Sullivan, Deborah Isaacs, and Bill Link, and John Hope was already off the board, I believe, or wasn't there, didn't sign it. Anyway, basically what it sets up is, in fact, we'll read it into the audience. Fort Clark Springs Association email accounts will be established for all directors for continuity, correspondence between directors, administrative staff, and for correspondence with membership. As a courtesy, directors should inform the board and executive officer when unavailable or out of town. When not acting in the director on call capacity, directors will inform the board when a meeting with administrative staff has occurred and the nature of the meeting via email. Spouses of directors are not permitted to conduct board of director communications. Official channels of communication from the association to the membership will be through dispatch, email, Fort Clark Springs social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc., Fort Clark Springs website, print and marquee display. Official channels of communication will be used solely for communication with membership to provide proactive warning, make announcements, promote association-sponsored events. Official channels of communication will not be used to project personal opinions or messages. If a message is policy-driven, it will require full board approval prior to distribution. If a message is administrative, approval authority is delegated to the executive officer, unless it contradicts a policy or governing document. The executive officer should utilize the director on call if needed. If the executive officer and director on call are not comfortable making the determination, then the director on call will consult the full board. Directors, as elected officials, are permitted to have their own outlet of communication with their constituents. Directors may not speak on behalf of the full board, may not make promises or commit association assets to a member, cause, etc., must be in compliance with the code of ethics outlined in the FCSA Association bylaws. Okay, we put this on here because we are a new board, and every board from us on into the future is likely to want to set up their own methods of communication, rather than being locked into something previous boards have done for them. So we have put this up for discussion to see how all the board members feel toward this, whether it's a good resolution and just needs some editing to make it more general to allow future boards to act under it, or whether it needs to be completely rewritten or maybe changed from a resolution to simply a memorandum to the executive officer, general manager, and staff as communication venue change. Technology is carrying us different directions, and we have to be able to change with the times. So, assuming everybody's read this, and it is discussion only, and let's start with our vice president today.
Okay,
Weston?
this thing advertises itself through its title as a policy for communication for the Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated, a Texas nonprofit corporation. By inference, one would assume that this policy should then contain directives for all communication for all Fort employees, and it appears to me that it's pretty much directed at the board of directors. So, I don't think I don't think it's a necessary document to begin with. I can't fathom the reason that it was enacted, other than the, don't be sending out personal messages. You know, that seems to be a reasonable thing that most people wouldn't do. I think if we're gonna keep this, then it should probably be written to include, to make an actual communication policy for the entire association. By that, I mean employees and board, not the membership.
Robert?
I kind of like the policy.
That's why we're asking. We're not voting now, we're just.
I did look at it from Dustin's perspective of it should cover all employees. I think when it was written, it was kind of to rein in board members that might have been acting on the maverick status. So I kind of felt that's what it was addressing, to keep us members or board members in the future and then the present from acting on their own. But I do understand Dustin's point of view that we probably do need an official policy that not only dictates how the board should behave as far as communication, but the association employees as well. So I think it is something that we probably should look at as a whole.
Brianna?
I'm gonna agree that there probably does need to be changes, and the number one is the order, because the director on call didn't exist when this one first was filed, this kind of legality on that. I do think, I do like how the other board, they did set up the email system. I think that is wise, because it did help us, as us coming in here, to be able to go back and kind of like see what was going on with the future boards, with, you know, especially since they were so abruptly left too. But like whenever it's time for us to leave, I think it'll help the future boards to kind of stay on the same page. But I do agree, it probably does need to be written differently. So I don't know if we want to do like a corrected or just kind of, you know, a replacement. But I'm okay with. I want it accurate.
Should it be, my question is, should it be a resolution locking in future boards or a policy and policies, association policy written into the policy book? That does not, policy and procedures do not have to be filed.
That's correct, and it seems to me that
Yeah.
the meat of this thing that actually puts the brakes on board members could be added to the code of ethics.
Right.
And
So
just be done with it.
Yes.
Okay, so there's not an action item right now, so we will have to probably put it, once we decide on that one, we're just having discussion. And I would like to include, make sure that maybe even Rick sees a copy of it, because this affects him a lot also. So I'd kind of like to see, you know, the potholes, if there's any in it, so.
Okay, my turn. Okay, I agree that it's a resolution that's not needed, and I'm not sure why they did it, other than to possibly consolidate some issues that were occurring. The resolution was basically not followed by everyone. I think it belongs as a association policy rather than a resolution. Just like we have policies and procedures for other things, then I think that would be more appropriate. I'm not, it was a lot of trouble to lock something in that probably didn't need to be in the form of a resolution. The last paragraph bothers me, because my personal belief is when directors communicate with, whether it's employees, the general manager, or our membership, then that should be the one place where they do that. And setting up individual email addresses for the individual officers and director, I think deflects from our purpose, and that's to have one place for everybody to communicate with. And that would be your official board email. President@fortclark.com, secretary, treasurer, director, vice president. So I think that my thoughts would be that, yes, I think a communications policy is a good idea, but it needs to be a policy, not a resolution, and that it needs to be given, or it needs to be considered for everyone, for employees and board communication. So it's and corporations do have their policies that govern communication.
To be honest, I mean, they may have it, but it may be in their new employment. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't read it line by line, but that may already be addressed.
And if it is, it's not necessary in the first place if it's already in there.
Right, and to your concern about the last paragraph, my suspicion is that was probably a poorly crafted effort not to prohibit board members from maintaining their own, say, Facebook page or Instagram or whatever people use now.
No, and unfortunately, it led to some misunderstandings. So anyway, we discussed this because we wanted the membership to know that we had ideas about changing this, removing it as a resolution, making it a association policy. And we'll be discussing this more in the future, and as soon as we have actually crafted something, then we will bring it back to the board. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
This
And
was,
again,
well, this is filed, so do we need to file something
Yes,
dissolving it?
Yeah, we will need, if we decide not to go with the resolution.
But that's an action item, so we may have to go to exec session
Well,
and then
let's-
come
Let's
back.
decide whether we want to keep it as a resolution or make it a policy.
Well, that's an action.
I know, but we haven't done that yet. Okay, when we decide and have crafted it, if it's a resolution, we will file the change. If we decide that we do not need a resolution, then we will file something that, yeah.
Dissolves it.
We will dissolve that particular resolution and file it with King County. Okay.
right, and to reiterate to the membership, this is an internal document that affects the communication among board members. In its current state, between board members and the general manager, and will not affect our communication with the membership via our current methods.
Okay, any other comments? All right. Also, the next is Resolution 2019-05, establishing a director on-call program for Fort Clark Springs Association, filed the same day, April 17, 2019. Again, this is a discussion item. We are looking at this because we have not been using the director on call program, mostly because we're still trying to figure out where we are. And
Well, it wasn't in our board packet. We
Yeah.
kind of had to find it.
yeah, and she found it. We
We didn't know that it was.
We didn't even know it was there. We knew that they had a director on call program, but we did not know that they had filed a resolution with Kinney County. And when we found it, then we have to now address it. So again, the discussion today is going to govern whether this is needed as a resolution, whether with a new board, we have other ideas that we feel may be more effective. And now that we hopefully have our general manager on board, we need to set up the communication that works best between the current board and our new manager, rather than be locked into something another board did, or boards in the future. Every board will have a different personality. I think everybody knows that, and we will have general managers that are different in the future. So we need to talk about this to see if this is what we really need, or we need to be more flexible. So we'll start again with Dustin.
All right, I will read this resolution to the membership. It says, a resolution establishing a director on-call program of the Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated, a Texas nonprofit corporation. Be it resolved by the Board of Directors, Fort Clark Springs Association Incorporated hereby establishes a director on-call program. The purpose of this program is to give all directors equal opportunity to participate in the daily affairs of the association, in parentheses, as required, and to formalize the interaction between the executive officer